Excuse me. Okay, so we are with Jonathan Cruz doing your post observation for T-test. Um, sixth grade science. The lesson was over non-renewable and renewable resources,
Yes.
give or take. Okay, how do you feel your lesson went?
I think overall it went really well. The students were actively engaged, made sure that there was something for every student to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that some students weren't able to just sit there not working, and also even my lower students that they felt confident enough to be able to actually engage in the activity. I feel like it was a good medium of challenging as well as low enough for all learners to be able to like engage.
Okay, so I came in eighth period,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a little bit of behavior in that class.
Yes.
I think the friend did very well. I know one of his things is like does the work and gets to leave.
Yeah.
Um, I felt that he sat well with his friends and complied with your instruction. What do you think?
Yes. Getting him to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
That's always the challenge. But just making those agreements with him,
Mm-hmm.
letting him know, like, hey, like, you get the work done, you do, and actually work on the work, not just, okay, Mr. Cruz, I did the work, and it's, not actually done.
Yeah.
He just wrote some things down
Mm-hmm.
to make it look like he worked. Him actually actively engaged in the activity, working on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then knowing that he has a reward. So he likes to go to his other room,
Yeah.
and get to like kind of like
Cool down.
cool down.
A
And
preferred
yeah, and he loves
task.
it, and so it's been effective in getting him to actually do work and good work that I know he's capable of doing.
Mm-hmm. I will say I like the way that you talk to him. I think with him and his personality, being very clear and direct is important. He needs to know the boundaries and what are the expectations. So being again firm, kind of but firm, but in telling him like, no, you need to do these 1 through 5. You complete 1 through 5, you can X, Y, Z,
Yes.
and then reminding him to stay on task and not distracting his friends.
And then even like those positive reinforcements, even if he doesn't show that he loves it,
Mm-hmm.
he does.
Yeah.
He loves hearing that you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of times for the redirection of him not doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
So he always usually hears the negative side.
Right.
So hearing that good, like, hey, good job, man,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing great, is a lot better than, hey, stop doing that. Do this.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah. No, I liked instead of being like stay like get back in your like find your seat. It was more like, hey, thanks for sitting so nicely in your chair.
Yeah.
Like that's really cool. Like thanks for X, Y, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
So I think you did really well. I know it can be a little overwhelming having extra guests in the room, especially on a class that is kind of willy nilly. You don't know what to expect with them. I thought your lesson was fun and exciting. I did write a few things down that I noticed. Like I said, I like the way that you interact with the student with behavior. We know him. To know him is to love him. He's a little wild, but and then those that aren't quite hitting the mark, the way you can kind of redirect them as well in situations. I know that in sixth grade you want to be with your friends,
Mm-hmm.
and eighth period the car line is lining up and you're waiting. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
3:50, we're dying.
Yes.
Dismissal at 4:20, we're dying. Like we're ready to go. So yeah, I think those were really great things. Do you feel that you kind of made all the instructional strategies to get to your students who learn differently?
Yeah, so I do feel like I did.
Mm-hmm.
I made sure that there was something visual, auditory, as well as like hands-on
Mm-hmm.
throughout the whole unit, or not the unit, the lesson
Right.
itself. Because I do know that some work well for others,
Mm-hmm.
and especially for those ESL students or the SPED students, I know they need to visually see something, be able to feel something. And even the on-level students,
Mm-hmm.
that works well for them too, because they all need the help, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel like the lesson did help target all that for those students.
Mhm.
And I think overall the lesson was a success.
Mhm.
And I feel like the students were able to leave that proud because sometimes they do leave a class and a little defeated
Right.
because they struggled.
Mhm.
They didn't really understand what they were doing. And now we're all crying all together.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at them like, what went wrong? They're looking at me like, I don't get it.
Mhm.
Help! And I'm like,
We're all drowning.
we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna get through it together.
The vocabulary this unit is very tricky. They're very
Mhm.
large words.
Yes.
And I think, like as we said for pre-conference, it was difficult to get them to understand how different areas of the world are living, even though like you look outside and we have clean roads and cars that drive and we got grocery stores and everything's pretty unlimited.
Yeah.
To realize that other people and kids their age have very limited
Mhm.
resources. I think that's very difficult for them to understand. What strategies did you use to gather and input data for your students while this lesson was going on?
So they had a worksheet to fill out.
Mhm.
So as they were working on that worksheet, I was walking around the room, kind of keeping an eye out for common misconceptions. So for some reason, a lot of students kind of struggled with like realizing that water is a renewable resource. They think just because they drink it and they can't get the water back, they can't reuse it.
Mhm.
But it's like, no, it's a renewable resource. The whole water cycle, like we got a whole cycle for it. Like
Right.
it's
It
the same
renews.
water. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a renewable resource. Same with the sun. They're kind of struggling to like really like make that connection.
Mhm.
They're like, well, can't keep on reusing the sun. I'm like, well, the sun's not
rises
leaving.
every day,
Yeah,
right?
the sun didn't just disappear.
Yeah, I think it's the solar panels that are very confusing because I think
Yeah.
they think that like when obviously when it's nighttime and the sun is not
Mhm.
out, the panels are not charging. That's not necessarily true because there's still UV rays,
Yeah,
but it doesn't lose its charge when the sun like when the lights go off when the sun
yeah.
goes
It just
down. It
isn't
doesn't
using as much electricity
right
because they have to conserve it.
right.
It's like making those connections.
Hmm.
And obviously, it's tough for them to make that connection at such a young age because they
Mhm.
don't understand it. Like us, we're adults. We know how electricity works. We know like the whole thing. They struggle to make that connection.
Mhm.
It's a struggle to get them to make it as
Yeah.
well. Even just like on a lower level, not even just solar panels. It's difficult to
It's
get that
tough.
connection. But so gathering that data and then at the end of the class, like kind of having a group discussion,
Mhm.
like what did you see? What did y'all get? If I see like the whole class as a whole was struggling with a question, hey,
Mhm.
let's talk about it. I'm seeing that we got this. It's actually this. Let me tell y'all why.
Mhm.
And then we get that, okay, I see where I went wrong.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can reuse that water. I can reuse the solar energy that's out there.
Mhm.
So just getting those aha moments was really what happened.
How were you kind of encouraging your students to take risks with this lesson that you had?
Yeah. So from the very beginning, I've made it very clear and known you're going to make mistakes. It's
Mhm.
okay. I show them all the time. Like even when I'm up front, I make mistakes,
Mhm.
and I even pointed out like, oh, I just messed up,
Mhm.
and I make it a point of emphasis. See, like even me, a grown adult, with
Right.
college degree and everything,
Right.
still up here making mistakes. It's going to happen. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point of learning. You're going to make mistakes. You can't learn if you don't even try.
Right.
And so just really like getting that atmosphere in the room to like where they feel comfortable enough to feel like vulnerable in the
Mhm.
room and really put themselves in a position to make those mistakes and learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
So really just building that classroom trust.
Okay. Very nice. All right. Yeah, like I said, I think it went really well. I think they're very excited. And then I know that you have a pasta lab coming up.
Yes.
So they'll get to be more hands-on, which is exciting. So basically for planning domain 1, I wrote that the teacher designs clear and well organized lessons that will reflect best practices aligned with standards that are appropriate for diverse learnings. I marked that as proficient. I think that you're pretty successful with that. For part 2 of planning, it says data and assessment. The teacher uses formal and informal methods to measure students' progress, then manages and analyzes student data to inform instruction. Again, proficient. I said that you do use formal and informal methods to measure student progress and manage the data as well. Knowledge of students. I also put proficient. Through knowledge of students and proven practices, the teacher ensures high levels of learning, social emotional development, and achievement for all students. I felt like that was a huge part in your kids that are a little bit more flighty, that require, reminders to stay on task, reminders to stay in your seat, reminders to come on, keep it going. Like we talked about earlier, the young man that he needs to be pat on the back and told, good job. I think you did really well with that. This other one is the teacher plans engaging flexible lessons that encourage higher order thinking, persistence, and achievement. Again, proficient. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. For domain 2, instruction. So the lesson was aligned with the TEKS and the lesson plan, the lesson scaffold for the students. Again, I placed proficient. I thought that you were able to move around the room to your higher level thinkers and lower level thinkers and kind of having them see it from both points of view, like asking them questions to be able to verbalize. And then sometimes you'd get just blank stares because they genuinely don't know. And then going backwards and being like, okay, well, didn't we just talk about water cycle? We had that lesson before Christmas break, winter break. So tell me about that. And then how do you think that a cycle becomes a cycle? And so with you being able to kind of go back and dig in their little brains about what they've previously learned and to recall, I think is super helpful. Again, the teacher supports all learners in their pursuit of high levels of academic and social emotional success. So I think that was pretty neat to see in action. Continuing, the teacher formally and informally collects, analyzes, and uses student progress data and makes needed lesson adjustments. Again, I know that you saw right away during your lesson that some kids were not understanding.
Yeah.
So you got to, in the words of everybody else, you got to pivot, right? So you tweaked it a little bit to make sure that it was on level for them, and being able to be flexible, and also them complying with that and not being like, well, first period, third period did this. Why aren't we doing that? And you don't want to be like, well, because you can't.
Yeah.
So just kind of elevating them into making them feel successful and that they get it. So again, teacher formally and informally collects, analyzes, and uses student progress data to make needed adjustments, proficient in that as well. Moving on to your learning environment, students were engaged in the lesson and activities. Students were asked a variety of questions in different styles. I put accomplished. I thought that was really impressive. Your routines and your procedures, they know exactly what to do when they walk in the room, whether that's because it's been shaped since day one and it's on the screen for them. And so I think having multiple ways of reminding students of what they do when they come in the room is super important. Like you're meeting at them at the door. Hello, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon, whatever. Don't forget you need a pencil in your journal. Again, it's on the board.
Yeah.
Again, you're saying it repeatedly at the door. So there's no reason for cartwheels to be happening in the middle of the room, which obviously did not see. So, but them knowing like that's the expectation and it's never changed.
Yeah.
You may have had to remind them after winter break, of course, right? But I think the teacher organizes a safe, accessible, and an efficient classroom. I think it was great. I know as a kid, like when I was a kid, like I wouldn't like, what are we doing next? What do we do now? So having it all laid out and teaching them to use the resources like the screen or the wall of the times that we have things going on to be like, I don't know, check the wall. Like, what time is it?
Yeah.
You tell me. Is super important. Managing student behavior. The teacher establishes, communicates, and maintains clear expectations for student behavior. Again, I think that was super successful. I put proficient, of course, because he's not perfect and neither are you, right? There were a few things. I mean, you could do a token system in the fact that you get 3 green tokens and you get to go to your preferred room. or you do these 5 questions and you get on a Chromebook for 7 minutes. Something of that nature.
Okay.
I said teacher uses content and expertise to design and execute lessons aligned with state standards, related content, and student needs. So, with this particular student, I feel if he's sitting on the floor doing his work, he's doing his work.
Yeah, it's a win.
It's a huge win. He's not in the hallway doing cartwheels. Huge win. He's not screaming off the top of his lungs. Huge win. So if he needs to stand at the lab table to work, cool, we're working. So, and I think that seeing that and having you go around and acknowledge that he is acting appropriate and reminding him like, hey, I really like it. I really like the way you're sitting. I really like the way you're using your inside voice. I think you're doing a really great job. Builds his character.
Yeah. And I also think with the students as well that are in the classroom, they do they might see oh yeah, he's getting to sit, but they don't see it as why does he get to do that? They've been in the classroom with him. They know how he does act. So seeing him actually sit there doing his work, they're like, oh, okay, that is a good thing. You know, they see it as a win for as well.
Well, and I heard
they know
a couple of his peers complimented him, like, hey, HK or friend, you can sit with us, because he's calm, and we want to hang out with you when you're calm. We don't want to hang out with you when you're not following the rules, and so that reinforces the friendship type behavior with him as well, which I think was great. So we also have the differentiation of instructions, aligning methods and techniques to diverse student needs. I put proficient in that as well. I think we did both sides. Then you have classroom culture. So the teacher leads a mutually respectful and collaborative class of actively engaged learners. Accomplished. Like we've been talking about, they're all getting along. Certain friends know their boundaries and know what's to be expected along with the other kids in the class. Teacher leads a mutually respectful and collaborative class of effectively engaged learners. So I think that's very exciting. I hope you're impressed with yourself. I think it's hard.
Yes. You're in the classroom. You don't fully get to see how it goes, especially teaching it 5 different times. Because we all know that the unit doesn't always go the same every single class. So getting outside perspective, it's nice, especially when it is in a rougher classroom, because sometimes you go home and you're like, what am I doing wrong? Am I actually doing the steps? And that's what I was saying in the pre-conference. Hey, look out for things that I could be doing better. I know some of the students are a little bit tough to manage at times. What could I do to help manage that behavior? So it is nice seeing that obviously some things are going well.
Yes.
And working.
Yeah. No, and really for that particular student, some kind of reinforcement choice board. You read for 15 minutes, you read the article and you answer 3 to 5 questions, and then you get the Chromebook, or you get to go for a walk, or you get a fidget, or you get to sit wherever you want. Would be helpful for him also, along with the positive conversation. He needs to be told that we're happy he's here.
Yeah.
So again, additional comments from Domain 3, the learning environment. Students had clear rules and expectations that they followed. Students were actively engaged in the lesson and were respectful to each other and the teacher. Teacher used an attention getter that worked very well. So again, I think you did great. I know that it's challenging. I know January is 722 days. Yes. Feels like, right? We're finally in February. But I hope that you leave feeling proud of yourself.
Yes.
I think it's hard, and I know that second semester is difficult. We have STAR coming and all of those things. Is there anything you'd like to ask me or talk to me about?
Nothing off the top. Just thank you for. I know you're obviously very busy. There's a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
Like you just said, things start to get
spiking.
They start to spike up. So thank you for being able to take that time to watch that class, especially fun class.
Yeah.
That's why I like to call it.
I think I prefer going into those
Mhm.
only because there's more to talk about.
Yeah.
Like if the students are on their A game, which we love, right? I mean, sure, that's great, but that's not super realistic.
Mhm.
It's the wild classes essentially that are way more realistic and get to really like peel back the layers of you as a teacher to see how you handle uncomfortable situations or like, why are you doing this today when
Yeah.
she's in here?
Because you can come to my advanced class all you want, and they know how to do X, Y, and Z without me even needing to really direct them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're so self-sufficient. Like it's almost boring at times. So I'm just like, I don't need me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just like a glorified babysitter in
Yeah.
this classroom. Like,
Yeah.
hold on now. Whereas like with that group, they do need me.
You're on top of it.
They're depending hard.
Yeah, because I believe you have an aide in the class too. Yes. So and that's that helps take some of the pressure off. But it's challenging,
Mhm.
especially this time of year, right after the holiday break, and then you come back and it's hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's about all I have for you. Did you want to share any good things you have going on this weekend or anything like that?
So it's the Super Bowl. My dad invited me to actually come over, so we're gonna spend
Over
some
there.
time.
Are y'all cooking?
Hopefully he is.
Hopefully he is.
It's his house. I'm hoping he's
Oh my
provided
gosh.
something.
Yeah.
Or at least
Delivery, something.
Oh my gosh,
Do
DoorDash.
something.
Good Lord. Those people are gonna be making
Yes.
crazy money.
It's off my dad.
Yeah. Actually. Yeah. All right. Well, good. Thanks for your time. I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Yes, thank you.